Cops of Reddit, what's the funniest change in, already perfectly legal, behavior people do in front of you when they realize you're there? Driving. Anything driving related. People suddenly think the rules of the road don't apply anymore as soon as they see your police vehicle, like a police vehicle has some holy grail road pass, four-way stops, for example. Even if the other person has the right of way, they wait until you go, they will just sit there. On the flip side, every time I get to a four-way stop with a cop, they will wave me through when they have the right of way. Man, I hate that. When someone suddenly puts their hands in their pockets or suddenly takes them out. I take my hands out of my pockets instinctively when I feel like a cop is watching me. It's like a knee-jerk reaction because I feel like I'm showing him I'm not a threat. Read that as treat initially. Look buddy, I have hands. I'm not a popsicle. I'm a probation and parole officer, full law enforcement authority in my state. We regularly do home visits on our offenders to verify their address and make sure they're within the guidelines of their supervision. Almost without fail, everyone is just about to start cleaning whenever we arrive. I'm not there to judge the state of their house, I just want to make sure they're not doing anything blatantly illegal and that the address they gave is valid. But they always point out a completely dry mop with no soap or water around to somehow show that they're good people. Whatever, there's worse things they could be doing. This is hilarious to me because, having been the supervised offender, I have definitely told my ex-PO. I was just about to start cleaning when they walked into my semi-thrashed house. And I don't mind it, I just wish a little more thought went into that story. Like the other week, we went to this guy's apartment and he pulled out the cleaning stuff when we hit the buzzer. But he had blunt wrappers, ashes, and little bits of butt in an ashtray right out in the open. I'm not freaking over some weed leftovers, but if he's trying to look better by cleaning, he should have started with that. I once pulled over a woman for speeding, and as I'm getting out the car she leans out the driver window and screams, "Officer, I have a gun," while frantically waving both hands out the window. She looked like a swan flapping its wings and making noises. I'm trying to hide my laughter while telling her to step out of the vehicle. I lost it when she wobbled out the car 8-month pregnant and was waddling like a duck. I told her to sit back in her vehicle and I had to recompose myself. We had a civil discussion on the appropriate way to inform a cop you have a firearm without looking like a suicidal lunatic. To this day I will randomly think of the pregnant swan woman and laugh. What is the correct way to inform a cop you have a gun? Edit. Alright guys, it's been answered, no need to blow up my inbox. Officer approaches car. Officer, I have a loaded firearm in my, wherever the fuck you put it, that I'm fully licensed to carry in this state. Don't forget to leave your hands on the steering wheel. Don't point or reach for it. Didn't work, died. What next? Doing the proper speed limit, noticing a cop at a speed trap, and still braking, causing a chain of traffic as people have to stop because you stopped. Mitchell. I was on a ride along with a cop once. We were driving down a main road and he said, "Check this out." He dropped his speed down to 5 or 10 miles per hour below the speed limit. All of the cars around us immediately slowed down to his speed. He laughed and sped up/slowed down a couple more times. It was kind of messed up, but because of it I never worry about passing a cop or anything as long as I'm not going over the speed limit. I was driving across eastern Canada at the start of an ice storm that was expected to get worse. It was only rain at this point, but a cop had pulled back onto the highway after, presumably, having stopped someone. He must have forgot to turn off his strobe lights. He was doing about 20 kilometers per hour under the limit. No one was willing to pass him. I finally caught up to him, as for some reason no one wanted to be in the left lane, and the few who did, ended up pulling off the highway eventually at some point. I pulled up beside him, tried to get his attention to ask him if there was a reason for the strobe lights. He was white-knuckling the steering wheel, and appeared to have absolutely no awareness of the fact I was beside him. So I just passed him, and continued at the speed limit. Not a cop, but I have a concealed carry permit, and I always start reciting in my head how I'll let him know it's there if he approaches me at all. If I didn't, I'm afraid I'd say something stupid like, "Hi, officer. I have a gun," rather than, "I have a duty to inform you that I am licensed to carry." In Michigan you are required to make that known as soon as reasonably possible whenever interacting with law enforcement. Starts rooting around pocket for license, shouting nervously, "I have a gun." I have a friend that got pulled over and carries, and as the cop walked up he told them I have a firearm on me, and the cop said, "Is it legal?" He told him that it was, and he has his concealed carry permit, and the cop said thank you. Have a nice day, and walked back to his car. Apparently he didn't even want to be around it. Didn't give my friend a ticket or check any ID or anything. Edit. He got pulled over for drunk driving and robbing a bank. Just to clear that up. Edit. Sheesh guys, I'm fucking kidding, lol. I literally gave you the extent of the full conversation between us and the police. We have no idea why he was pulled over. Maybe has to do with him being one of the hijackers on the plane that hit the Twin Towers, but we weren't sure. I remember reading about a state trooper who was driving below the limit and nobody wanted to pass him. There were many cars behind him. Finally someone passed him, and the state trooper pulled them over and told them he was about to go off duty and had picked up a gallon of ice cream to take home, but then got called back. He decided the first person brave enough to pass him would win the ice cream. I love that story. Everyone else behind him probably thought, "Thank God that isn't me," as they drove away though. As they drove away, quickly accelerating. Yeah, with no ice cream. Remember to subscribe for more daily quotes.